I'm not a soldier who's prepared to fall in the battle.
Never.
I will die with my boots on. It doesn't matter who says what. I will die.
Every revolutionary have a leader. And in this video, we're going to talk about one of them. People of Burkina Faso need to have someone such as a Thomas Sankara in order for them to be liberated. In Ghana, they need Mohamed Nkrumah in order for them to find their freedom. In Democratic Republic of Congo, they need Patrice Emery Lumumba in order for them to get rid of the Belgium. In Cuba, they need Fidel Castro in order for them to liberate themselves from the system of the West. Should I go on with the list? Because the list is too long. But in this video, we want to focus on one of the true Pan-Africans in our daily time. This man have managed to write his own history. He have managed to influence the whole generation. Like it or not, the history will always remember his name. Julius Malema is the significant public figure in this country. Let us talk about it. Guys, let us put aside our colors, let us put aside our political parties, let us put our hatred aside toward this man. We have all to agree and acknowledge that one thing that Julius Malema have done is to educate the entire generation. Yes, Julius Malema have educated an entire country, an entire nation. And he managed to do this all alone without the help from the Western or the open eye masters. Until to this day, there have not been anyone who had the courage to come and say that we have managed to finance EFF with Julius Malema. Guys, we are talking about the negotiation, Rupert and open eye masters. We are talking about a man who managed to bring the true significant meaning between political power and economic power. Yep, we are talking about a man who managed to explain the meaning between true freedom and economic freedom. And that man is Julius Malema. Julius Malema came in and he managed to package all these topics and convert it in a very simple way that each and every individuals, each and every young generation can get to understand of what had really happened to what's supposed to be the beneficiary of the South African citizen. Julius Malema tried to make it adjustable and understandable for those who did not go to school, for those who did not even have any idea of what had happened.
We defeated that scandal of saying we are bought by London, because everything we are doing has got nothing to do with London. It has got everything to do with Africa and with Africans, because we exist for Africans. Comrades, they wanted to cause the fight in the EFF. They never won, they will never win. Why? We want the land. We are not here for any other Mickey Mouse arrangement. We want the land.
Thanks to his powerful speech that he get to give in different platforms, the leader of EFF, Julius Malema, managed to make it even more easy for those who can't read to understand exactly what is the history of this country. In other words, Julius Malema managed to make Africans understand that they have not get their true freedom that they deserve. Julius Malema opened the eyes of every Africans for them to become their own liberators. Yes, Julius Malema managed to make South Africans and Africans to understand that they are being cheated all these years. Make them to realize that their rights has been violated, making them realizing that they are being used with their mineral resource. And all this is all thanks to the man called Julius Malema. So, what they are talking about now, this is not something new. This is something very, very, very old. Yes, you heard me correct. These are the things that did exist a long time ago. I can take you back more than 50 years ago. These are the same songs that people they were singing in this country.
Kill a man, shoot to kill, Yamazan, kill the poor, the farmer.
We need to talk about African tradition. It's called Ikwejo. And Ikwejo is not a statement, it's not a political statement. It's a chant. You use it to miss. For instance, Amakwengwe, when they are going over long distances, they would be doing this thing It's not a statement. You see, part of the problem with this is that somebody who comes from outside of that African culture interpreted it. And indeed, when you then write there, Peter Mukaba said, kill the Boer, kill a farmer, he didn't. In the sense of a statement which represents policy. And it would not have been taken as a statement that represents policy. So there's no ANC policy which says kill a farmer, kill a Boer and all that. But there would be a language of all sorts. You have a Zulu song, not quite a Gwijo, but it's traditional songs. Now, it's not a statement. It's not a statement I'm making that I will never visit Zululand. It's a song. I don't think we really. And you could do different ones and we could translate them. They're different chants. And they will be saying different things. Different things about the struggle. This particular one was picked out, as I say, and interpreted from outside of African culture and presented as a political statement. It never was.
These are the same topic that people were discussing in different platforms. These are the same matters that people were gossiping all over, whether it is in the train, whether it is in the buses. The only difference with now is that back then, this was not something that people were allowed to talk about. This was something that people were not talking about it. Myself, I know about this because these are the things that whenever this kind of matter have to be discussed inside the school, you'll see the professor reducing his voice and sending someone spying on the windows so that no one should not hear what this professor have to teach to the children in the school. So everywhere when these matters have to be discussed, you find out that people will have to speak it secretly. Do you know why? Because this was a topic that was not allowed to be discussed more openly, because they'll come for you and they'll shut you off. They were eliminating each and everyone who will stand firm and try to challenge them through this topic. And they were doing all this to scare other people so that no one should not have the courage to discuss about this kind of matters. And that is how black people were treated in South Africa back in days. Leaders who tried to stood up and try to speak louder, such as the Chrisani, they were shutted off. And they never denied the reasons why they had eliminated the Christiani.
Let's jump right into the interview. And the first question I want to ask you is, I think the big important question is, why did you kill Chris Hani?
Chris Hani was a hardline communist who was determined at all costs, even to laying the country to waste to achieve his political aims. He was a radical. He was uncontrollable by the ANC higher authorities. He was a man who targeted civilians in preference to military targets. And as far as we were concerned, he was public enemy number one.
And today, I publicly declare Julius Malema's EFF to be political enemy number one of the Democratic Alliance. And I commit the DA to fight back against the EFF at every turn, with the ultimate aim of defeating the Doomsday Coalition that could seal South Africa's fate next year.
So black people, black South Africans, were not allowed to speak about their land. They were not allowed to speak about their rights within their country. And whoever tried to open their mouth and speak about their land, this is how they were eliminated. So it was all about shut up. Don't talk about anything. You just have to listen to what we have to tell you. And that is how South Africans were left without having the knowledge of what is their proper right. So it was a very big taboo that you don't have to talk about such things. But the good news today, at least everyone with their hands knows about white monopolitically, Rupert and the Open Eye Masters, Mandela, transitions, British, USA. So at least each and everyone in this generation knows of what had really happened in this country. At least everyone have an idea of what the British with the US and France have committed as a crime in Africa. And all that is thanks to this man called Julius Malema. Julius Malema managed to do this very quickly. Just under a decade, Julius Malema managed to influence the entire generation. Under the 10 years, Julius Malema managed to educate the entire nation. Yep, just in under a decade, Julius Malema managed to educate the entire Africa continent. And it happened so sadly and so consistently. At first, I don't think people did understood what he was trying to do. But because of his consistency, did help everyone to understood what was the message of this man. That is what made him become even more different from other politicians, because I don't recall any other politicians in our days who can remain this firm in their words when it comes towards the West with their system of the open eye master that they get to impose on Africans. A lot of politicians out there, they'll speak for African people when they're still in the oppositions, when they don't have power. The moment they sit in power, they change. Some of them, they get to sell their soul before even they get the power. While they're still in the opposition, they start already changing their languages. And that is not the case of Julius Malema. Look, let me tell you something. I'm not having any political party colors. I'm not a politician. I'm not even interested to be one of them. But one thing we can't deny, one thing we have to agree, all of us, is what these men have done. Guys, influencing the whole generation is not something easy. Especially of this Ama 2000, who never been there when this history was written in 1994. This history was written before 1994. It's not easy for you to influence this kid. But this man came not only to influence the new generation, instead, he even educates those who were not taught the history. Guys, do you know how many old people who are still voting for the ANC, yet they still don't know the history of this country properly? All they know is about Mandela coming to liberate them, but they never know that they have what they call a land, but they don't know anything about the land. This old generation, they don't know much about the true economic freedom. They don't know much about them running their own economic. They don't know much about them running even their own business. Most of these people, they find it even more normal when they have to wake up each and every day in the morning to go to someone's house, for them to be a house helper, for them to be someone's gardeners. At least now every one of them is chanting on the streets about the land. Every one of them knows exactly what's supposed to be done long time ago, and yet it has not took place. And that is all thanks to Julius Malema. So guys, with that only, Julius Malema can even retire today. But the history of this beautiful continent called Africa, the history of this beautiful country called South Africa, it will recall his name and acknowledge that thanks to this man, at least South Africans have taken their true freedoms. Africa continent have managed to open their eyes and face the West. Perhaps you don't have any idea what impact does EFF leader Julius Malema have out there in Africa. Do you have any idea what will happen the day you will start visiting Africa continent? I will leave that for now. But let us now try to focus on what's been trending lately about what Julius Malema have sang and how he's calling people to kill the Boer. Is that really truth? Is that really the truth? Because we don't need to be misled by all these propagandas that we get to see around the world, where we have seen the Western. They try now to bring everything that they have in their power to influence this so-called song and try to make Julius Malema if like someone is calling for the hate speech. Do Julius Malema really hate white people that much, to the point of calling for people to go and start killing them? Because that is what CNN and BBC, they are trying to make it look like. All because they feel like their interest, their benefit are not guaranteed under the EFF government with Julius Malema. In order for us to understand whether Julius Malema does really have problem with white people, we need to play you this video. This video, you need to pay more attention to it, because it will help you to understand what is going on, whether Julius Malema, he have something against white people, that you don't like to see them alive, or whether it is just a propaganda which these people are trying to use against Julius Malema with EFF. Have listened to this interview. This is the president of EFF, Julius Malema. He was giving his comments about the white farmers and what is accusing them of. Have listened to what he said. I'll see you after then for more analysis.
White farmers must stay in South Africa, but I won't beg them. I won't be on my knees begging white farmers to stay in South Africa. But they must stay. If they want to stay, they are more than welcome. Like all South Africans, there's nothing special about them. Nothing. To ask me about, do I see value in the white farmers in South Africa, is to ask me about white privilege. I'm not going to glorify it. I see value in all South Africans. White, black, Indian, coloreds. All of us. I value you. I want you to contribute in the growth of the economy. There's nothing special about white farmers. There's nothing special about white people. The sooner we do that, away with that mentality, the better. I have no problem with white people at all. I have a problem with them being treated special. I have a problem with privilege. That's my problem. That when I say something, it's wrong. But when it gets to be said by a white person, it's right. I complained about Indians and how they are treating our people. The same way an Indian former constitutional court judge says, when it is said by an Indian judge, it's not a problem. When it is said because they've got a special place in heaven and we are all going to hell, I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. That when things are said by certain people of a different color, they are understood. But when I say them, or Dali says them, or any African says them, they are said by an African child who comes from a poor family, a child of a domestic worker. Who's he to tell us? Can't be told by this people. So no one is going to destroy any white farm. No white person is going to be killed or beaten up under the EFF government. It will never happen. But they will have to come down from the high horse and be here with us. What makes the hostility is the inability of our fellow white South Africans to reach out. They don't reach out. They actually create an impression that we are actually owing them an apology. Not the other way around. We are the... I've never met a white person who says, let's talk about, let's preach reconciliation. They don't preach reconciliation. The victims are the ones who are preaching reconciliation. Victims, because we are begging. I'm not Cyril Ramaphosa, I don't beg them. I'll never beg them. They are going to stay here if they agree to be equal to black people. And I can tell you, my brother, I hear your accent. South African whites, they don't fear war. They don't fear blood. They don't fear any land taken from them. They know it will never happen. They fear equality. That's the only thing they are scared of. That they are going to be equal to monkeys. That's the only thing they fear. They know this Malema, they've listened to my talks. They know even when they reported me to Human Rights Commission, there's nothing hate about what this guy is saying. They know that. My crime is to demand an equality. That's a crime I'm committing in this country. To demand that the white minorities must come down from their high horses and humble themselves and work with fellow South Africans. These Africans have got no problem with whites. Actually, they love them too much. Some of them hate me because they think I hate white people. Hey, this one, is going to make whites go this way. They hate me for that. That's how much they love white people. They are prepared to sacrifice their own brother in protection of white people. That's how much they love. They have no problem with it. It is white people who have a problem with Africans. They do not see themselves being at the same level with Africans. And it's not only the white farmers, it's not the white managers in the newsrooms, it's not the white editors only. Go to the Supreme Court of Appeal in the judiciary. I sit in the JSC there. How the white judges in the Supreme Court of Appeal look down at their colleagues at the highest level of educated whites. Don't think it's just a child of a farmer who has a problem with black people. An educated white judge at the highest level has got a problem with an educated and over-educated African judge. When they write a judgment, they ridicule the judgments of Africans. When an African or a colored wants to make reference to the best reported judgment of an African, they say, no, don't use that. Use this one. They give you an alternative white reported judgment at the highest, second highest court. That's how difficult it is. Our black brothers have got no problem with white people. White people have got problem with us. No one is good. No one here. And some of us were even privileged because with the money we're getting in parliament, we've taken our children to private schools because there's no public school here in South Africa. Schools have collapsed. They befriend white kids. They bring them there in our houses. When we slaughter, we must start slaughtering with these friends of our kids. Do you think our children are going to allow that? We are building a completely new society where black and Africans are embracing one another. The problem is this old age. They have a big problem, those guys, because they know the privilege of apartheid. The young ones don't know the privilege of apartheid. They know the privilege of being called a madam and a boss, and then calling older women girls and older men boys. They know that privilege, and today is no more. That's what offended them. So I'm not going to beg them to stay here. I'm not begging anyone, especially white people. If they want to go, they can go. At least they've got somewhere to go. We don't have anywhere to go if things don't go right.
If they want to stay in South Africa, they are more than welcome to stay. But one thing for sure, according to the president of EFF, Julius Malema, said it, make it even more clear that he will never gonna beg anyone to stay. Do you know why? Because there were this campaign, there were this kind of message which was circulating from the moment when Julius Malema started reclaiming the land. There were this propaganda which was going, saying that Julius Malema is trying to turn South Africa into another Zimbabwe, as Robert Mugabe did back in days. And therefore, if Julius Malema try to succeed with this, white South Africans will have to leave this country and they'll go somewhere else. And the man was very clear.
I'm very interested when you talk about we and they. We're roughly the same age. I was 12 when Madiba was released from prison, and I was 14 when the election happened. I'm a medical doctor. I work sometimes 160-hour weeks. I work sometimes 18 hours a day, and I own property because of that reason. And it sounds to me that you're suggesting that I should do all that work and come to this point in my life and now just hand away my property. And that concerns me.
National case, if you are to stand up and say I went to school and I'm a medical doctor and the property I have is because I went to school and I bought it. But most of your people didn't buy any property, they inherited it. So it's an exceptional case. No, you can disagree, but the reality is that you are in possession of a land that was stolen from us. And we want it back without any apology. We want that land back, and we are going to work together. I can tell you now, whether you are in denial or not, the demand for the land is growing and people are becoming impatient. And we don't want Zimbabwe here. We don't want Zimbabwe in this country. It has to be done legally, procedurally, in a manner that is not going to put the country and the economy in a disaster. We have to talk about it. We have to say, how do we, in a proper manner, make sure that everyone benefit from this land?
He have to come and say that, no, look, if you want to stay, stay. If you want to leave, leave. Since then, can you tell me how many of white South Africans have left this country? And for your own information, according to our understanding of things, according to our analysis, there is no way that these people will leave Africa. There is no way that these white people will leave South Africa. Do you know why? Because South Africa have what they need. Can you tell me what would be their life out there without Africa? Don't you see how France is fighting in Niger? Don't you see how France is fighting in Burkina Faso, in Mali, Chad, everywhere? All because they are losing control of all these countries. Africans have understood that this is no more the time they'll let France with the West to come and influence their leadership in Africa continent. And this message, as I said in part 1 of this video, Julius Malema had influenced the whole generation, and everyone that taking it, and everyone that applying his message, everyone that trying now to stand on their feet in order for them to liberate themselves from the open eye masters. So there is no way that these people will ever leave this country. There is no way that these people will let go of what they know already, that that's what has been benefiting. But there was something very important that Julius Malema raised through this interview. Because some people will think that no, Julius Malema don't like white people, which is not the case at all. Instead, the man tried to explain his problem, and his problem here is that everyone needs to be treated in the same way. Regardless of your color, India, Kalati, white, black, South Africans, everyone should be treated in the same way. Everyone should be respected in the same way. Everyone should be seen in the same way with the same value. Now tell me, what did Julius Malema said bad or ask for these people to do? Because he simply asked for them to realize that we are all human beings and we should be treated in the same way as a human being. Why are you feeling uncomfortable of something which is very simple? Why do you have to believe that the true economic freedom, it only belongs to you and not to everyone? And you are doing all that because of their colors. So according to you, you find it normal for a black skin color to be sitting somewhere as a ShopRite cashier while you sitting somewhere in the office. According to you, it is more normal for someone to be your gardener while you can't be someone's gardener. According to you, you should be having a very high salary, though you don't work much, but someone who works more than you should be the one getting small salary. So you find it more normal when your children attend school, which you are spending a lot of money, and other people's children, they are sitting outside there without even going to school because their parents, they can't afford to pay for them. So it is normal for you to treat other people in the very low space while you consider yourself somewhere there. And these are the things that Julius Malema is complaining about. He called for these people to at least level up. Take yourself from where you are, try to reach other people who are still below you. If you want to remain there, then allow other people to come and join you. That is how life is supposed to be. And that is the reason why you see all these people going crazy, bringing up all these propagandas, because the men have grabbed them here. Yep, Julius Malema have grabbed them here. And that is the reason why you see like they're never gonna have something good to say about Julius Malema. So according to me, I believe if there is something that we need to fight, if there is someone that we need to stop from all this, I believe it's this kind of people who want to look at other people like they're nothing. Do you think that if today the white South African, if they stood and they said that, okay, fine, we are willing to sit down and negotiate, we are willing to do things in the right way, things that we're supposed to do before 1994, and we fail, let us sit down and have a proper closure about it. Do you think that tomorrow we'll have the same problem? Now, you sit there, yet you still believe that you're still living in the time of apartheid. Yet you believe that this kind of business, this kind of tenders, this kind of this and that is only belongs to the white South Africans. And as for black South Africans, them, they deserve this kind of job. They deserve to be our gardeners. They deserve to be our house helpers. They deserve to be our babysitters. They deserve to be 1, 2, 3, 4. In my previous video, I asked a very simple question to all of you always watch me time to time. Can you or have you ever come across any white South African working in the big shops such as a ShopRite, as a cashier? Have you seen a white South African being a house helper, like someone who cleans in another house of a black person, regardless of how many millions this black person have? Have you seen any white man being someone's garden because him is white and this one is black? So that is where we get to see who's telling the truth and who's lying. Because these are the facts that you can walk in the street of South Africa, you will see that what we are trying to tell you here, it is actually the truth. In 21st centuries, yet we still have some other people out there who are looking at other human beings as garbage. That have to stop. What South Africans need right now, it is the true economic freedom. And everyone who's willing to cooperate with them, everyone who wants to stand in their ways, I believe people of South Africa will be so happy to welcome this person and work with them together in order for them to fight against all this unemployment that we are getting to see time to time in this country. So standing on their way, that is when these things now start having a big impact, because I don't think there is any South Africans who just have to sit and not doing much about this. So Julius Malema is fighting a fight which does have a true meaning behind it, a fight which has a reason behind it that can get to motivate, whether you are a South Africans, whether you are just a simple Africans. They are all behind Julius Malema because they have understood that they have not really get that true freedom that they deserve to have, whether it is economically, whether it is through the lands, whether it is through what, they are not too sure about it. So they're still fighting until they get that true freedom. And they managed to have all this courage, all thanks to Julius Malema. So whether we like it or not, whether we like him or not, but these men have made a history, and the world have watched it out, and they are there, they have witnessed it, and the history will tell some days that there was a man called Julius Malema who did indeed manage to influence the whole generation, and things managed to change all thanks to what he was giving as his speech that managed to give these people courage to go ahead and fight and try to liberate themselves. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I believe that will be all for today. I really do appreciate your time to watch this video up to now. If this is your first time to watch our videos, please don't leave without subscribing to the channel, because what we do here is to educate one another. What we do here is to help each other understand exactly how far Africa continent has come and where we're going, in order for us to repossess our land and take everything that belongs to us and make use of it as Africans. So we do invite you to subscribe to our channel so that you don't get to miss any of our videos. And Don't forget to give us also a thumbs up, because we really do appreciate. If you do have any question you want to ask us, or if you do have anything to say, please feel free to drop it down in the comment section, because that's where we get to engage with you time to time. That will be all for today, but for now, continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon. Ciao, ciao.